Good evening or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Agent Weather Forecast. And this is going to be another exciting video for those spring lovers and winter haters, as this will be my official spring 2021 forecast here. I was going to have this video out yesterday, but I figured might as well just do it today because yesterday I was kind of more focused on the spring temperatures actually arriving, and I just wanted to have this video a lot closer to actually March here. But this is going to be my official spring forecast here, so we're going to be looking at the temperature outlook, the precipitation outlook, and the general outlook in general. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the forecast. So this is going to be looking out at the this is actually going to be a precipitation forecast map. So if the green indicates above average precipitation, while the brown indicates a below average precipitation. So the light lemon lime green area is going to be slightly below or slightly above average precipitation. So if you're in that lemon lime green, which is very widespread across the eastern United States and the plains, if you're in that lemon lime, you're going to be seeing slightly above average precipitation. So as you see, it's going to be quite a wet eastern United States, and that does have to take part of the severe weather season here. And as well in the second state of green, that's where we're going to be seeing moderately above average precipitation. So that's kind of where the above average precipitation will become a lot more, I guess, noticeable, as it'll be not slightly but moderately. So we will be seeing possibly 10 plus inches above average in these areas, and that obviously will take part not only with severe weather events but any fronts that move in the area that can bring in some really big rainstorms in these areas that can last a few days. So really looking at pretty wet spring for those areas across the southeast, and as well as portions of the Kentucky and Tennessee Valley, as that's where we'll be seeing kind of the moderately above average precipitation there. So definitely going to be quite wet in those areas, and that's going to, I guess, help those plants grow and all that. So I guess it's a good spring, but if you really like a sunny and dry spring, then it won't be too good for you guys there if you guys are in that second shade of green, including the southeast and Tennessee Valley. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the below average areas here. So in that first shade of brown, we're going to be seeing below average precipitation. That's going to be coming all the way from the southwest down to areas like Georgia and the Florida coast here. So going to kind of be more of a southern and western spring where we'll be seeing kind of below average precipitation. Obviously, it will be mainly rain for these areas because obviously the temperatures will warm up. We're not going to be seeing as frequent snowstorms at all, even including the southwest here and those higher elevations. But in that first shade, it's going to be a few inches below average. It doesn't mean droughts or anything. It's just going to be a few inches below average. Won't be anything too major. I mean, we will be seeing some big time frames where we'll be seeing very little precipitation. However, there won't be any major droughts. However, that will increase the chance for wildfires in these areas, as if we get windy conditions with a dry surface and a dry atmosphere and dry areas, it will increase the chance for wildfire. So that's the only thing on the downside for those areas, and that's going to be specifically kind of towards the southwest. But that below average, that slightly below average precipitation will move all the way up to the Gulf Coast. So we will be seeing some nice thunderstorms in these areas and some frequent rain systems. However, it's going to be a lot less frequent than it usually is in a regular year. And that second shade of brown, we're going to be seeing here moderately below average precipitation, so it's going to kind of be a lot more noticeable. That's going to be including the southwest and portions of the far Gulf Coast. We'll be seeing a lot less moisture and rainstorms than we usually see. The temperature outlook here, as you do see, we're going to be seeing a very warm spring for many across the United States here. So let's go ahead and jump into the forecast. So in that first shade of orange, we're going to be seeing slightly above average temperatures. So that's going to be all the way from the southwest down to the Gulf Coast to the Great Lakes. So it's going to be a very, very warm spring in general, and that will take part of the La Nina-like spring we're expecting here. So that's kind of why we're seeing a potential big-time severe weather season ahead of us, because we're going to be seeing some really, really warm temperatures, and that moisture is going to be right there. So it's kind of perfect, I guess. And with that colder to the northwest, that will allow for that instability. But in that first shade, that's where we're seeing slightly above average temperature. So maybe anywhere from maybe 2 to 3 degrees above average across the general month or across the general season of spring. We will be seeing some cold fronts in these areas that are in the first shade of orange. However, they're going to be a lot less frequent. We're going to be seeing way more warm fronts. And they won't be as severe as in those areas in the second shade of orange, because in that second shade of orange, we're going to be seeing a lot more frequent warm fronts, and they're going to be a lot more severe, like 10 plus degrees above average. So we're looking at every warm spring in these areas here, possibly seeing widespread 80s, and I wouldn't even doubt if we get 90s in the late spring, like May and June, in these areas here. So in that second shade of orange, we're going to be seeing moderately above average temperatures, and that's going to be anywhere from 3 to 6 degrees above average throughout the whole 4 months. However, we will be seeing a lot more significant warm fronts that can bring in 10 or 15 plus degrees above average. So in general, it's going to be very warm. So I guess good if you guys want to get into the pool early and all that, or early summer. So that's obviously kind of good for those areas. And where we'll be seeing, I guess, those chillier and I guess a more late spring is going to be in the northwest and the northeast. So kind of the two northern tips of the United States. So that's obviously going to have to take part because of La Nina. So we're only going to be seeing a slightly below average spring for these areas. Like I said, it's going to be rather warm, so we're not going to be seeing a moderately below average or anything like that. And those areas that are in that blue, it's only going to be maybe 1 to 2 degrees below average. It won't be anything too bad. We will be seeing some frequent cold fronts, though. They will be a lot more frequent than the warm fronts. That could bring in maybe 6 to 8 degrees below average. However, throughout the whole 4 months, it's going to be just slightly cooler, not anything too major. And this is now a look here at my general forecast here. So let's go ahead and explain what these mean. So in the orange shade, that very widespread orange shade, we're looking at a quite warm spring. So it's going to be quite warm, not extremely hot or very, I guess, chill or very or I guess doable. It's going to be right in the middle, so it's going to be quite warm in general, and that's going to be very widespread across the whole United States. However, it's going to, I guess I want to put that range kind of more towards the southeast and east coast and portion of the Gulf Coast, because we had that big severe weather range. So in that red, we're going to be seeing definitely some big severe weather events. So if you're in that red, we're looking at the outer edge where we'll be seeing the severe weather outbreak. So if you're in that red, you're kind of going to be seeing some decent and potential significant severe weather events. However, you're going to kind of be on the edge, or I guess the outer cone of that main severe weather outbreaks, because in that purple, that should be kind of seeing the dead center of these severe weather outbreaks, including Dixie Valley, portions of the Ozarks, and as well portions of the Midwest. So I'm looking at a very active season for areas like Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas, all the way up to areas like Illinois, portions of southern Wisconsin, and portions as well in the general Midwest like Iowa. And then that blue color in the northeast, we're missing a chilly / potentially late spring again, since it will be kind of cold. It will be, I guess, a quote-unquote late spring. However, we will start to see those flowers bloom at a regular time. However, the temperatures will be a little colder than they usually are, so that technically will mean, I guess, a later spring, and those temperatures will arrive later. In that widespread yellow color across much of the northern United States, we're going to be seeing some frequent severe storms. So we are going to be seeing some decent severe weather in these areas in the yellow. However, you won't be in the severe weather outbreaks for the dead center of the actual season. You guys will be seeing some severe weather, some frequent severe storms. Obviously, that will increase chances for some tornadoes. However, you guys won't be the actual bullseye or the actual main focus of this whole season. And the white color, we're going to be seeing our seasonal and regular snowfall across those higher elevations in the Sierras and portions as well in the Rockies. In the Southwest, we're going to be seeing some very dry and warm. It's going to be very dry and warm for those areas. So, again, La Nina does not look like a pretty spring for you guys. In the Southwest, going to be quite dry, specifically near the Four Corners, and going to be quite dry or quite warm throughout the whole Southwest there. And then the Pacific Northwest, we're going to be seeing, I guess, a lucky spring. It's going to be quite wet and chilly. You guys are just missing out on all that worst dry and warmth. You guys are obviously going to start missing out on that snow. So, going to be a quite a wet and decent spring. It's going to be, I guess, a late spring. However, the rain will make it feel a lot more like spring than the temperatures make it feel like. But hope you guys enjoyed this short forecast on the spring official video. But hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys tomorrow.